Elon personally responded to this story about a person supposedly passing away while FSD was on, but he was intoxicated. So obviously Tesla is definitely not at fault even if FSD was turned on. But he says he was not on FSD. The software had unfortunately never been downloaded. I say unfortunately because the accident probably would not have happened if FSD had been engaged. Here are a few things that we know about the crash. The person that passed away was a Tesla employee and he was a huge fan of Elon Musk, and his family said that he constantly used FSD beta. The driver's blood alcohol level was 3 times over the legal limit. There was a passenger in the vehicle that survived who said that a driving assist feature was on, but he was also drunk. The car completely burned down and no one could access the log, so therefore we don't know for sure if anything was turned on or not. I'm not talking about FSD beta, I'm talking about an autopilot feature being on possibly at the time of the incident. However, Tesla reported the crash to NHTSA and confirmed that a driver assistance feature had been in use at least 30 seconds before impact. Tesla, though, did not specify which feature, and NHTSA couldn't confirm it either. Red from Electric says, though, that Tesla has had almost 2 years of collaborating with the police. It couldn't tell the police whether FSD beta was involved or not, and yet Elon can now tell the public it was not. He says it's a red flag. But we all know that Tesla is not exactly very good at communicating, and this will not be the first time, and it will certainly not be the last time. I think here one can make an argument that if Tesla did have a PR department, a story like this would not have been published on the Washington Post. Tesla worker killed in a crash may be the first full self-driving fatality, because clearly FSD could not have been on if FSD software was not there. But maybe the Washington Post would have then just run with the story that what I said, autopilot was likely on instead of FSD. And certainly this headline from Electric would have been avoided, or at least the use of full self-driving beta would have been avoided. Yesterday I did say that I have a problem with this headline because it implies that FSD beta was turned on for a fact. And while the evidence suggested that, yeah, maybe it was on, it was definitely not definite. And now we just learned that it could have not been on. I think Omar has a pretty good point here. It's possible that this crash may have been caused by the nag. The requirement to Goldilocks touch the wheel enough to be detected but not too much to disengage may have been challenging for someone that's really drunk. This is speculation but fits the profile. And yeah, when I drive with my Tesla, it's when there's the nag, I disengage it by accident occasionally if I try to make sure that it stays on by just turning the wheel a little bit. You have to be very careful with that. So usually what I do is I just turn up the music a little bit louder, and that solves my issue. It stops it from disengaging. And I think Sawyer has a pretty good point here. He responded to a fierce attack from Fred. Let's assume FSD beta was engaged for a moment. There's one thing I didn't see mentioned with the police evidence that could explain the rolling tire marks. You can press on the accelerator pedal when FSD beta is engaged and the system won't disengage. So it's possible the driver thought he was pressing the brake, but because his alcohol level was so high, 3 times over the legal limit, he might have pressed the accelerator pedal by accident. This is a sad and unfortunate crash, of course. Another thing I saw many people present is the eyewitness testimony. Not only was he drunk, but there's also a possibility that he could have just corroborated the story with the wife, because if he was a good friend of the husband, and the wife obviously is now a widow, some people would think that it would be okay to try to find someone at fault for the husband passing away despite him being drunk. And when it comes to how safe it is to drive a Tesla vehicle when it's on FSD, I think Omar makes the best point. In the United States, there are 1.37 fatalities for every 100 million vehicle miles traveled. Full self-driving beta has driven nearly 795 million miles, so you would expect there to be 11 fatalities if it was no more or less safe than ordinary driving. The drunk driving incident in the Washington Post article, had been FSD beta, it would mean that someone driving FSD beta is about 11 times less likely to die while supervising compared to manual driving of an average car. But now we know that FSD beta wasn't even downloaded, so it's actually even better than that, even in its current form. There was also a comment made from Rohan, who is from Tesla. Nitsa said that a driver assist feature was active in the 30 seconds leading up to the crash, but Rohan later clarified that the report was made to the NHTSA based solely on the passenger's testimony that it was active and not based on any actual data. So looking at just hard data, we don't know if autopilot or cruise control was even on. There are reports of some rust appearing on Cybertrucks. You can see the spots here. The customer said, I picked it up in Dublin, California yesterday, and it was pouring raining. I drove it up to Sacramento and there's a bunch of tiny orange specks and a few water spots. As of now, we don't know for sure exactly what it is, but there's speculation that it might not be rust, it might be instead pollen or rail shavings from train tracks, or that the rust might be caused by carbon shavings in the factory. In this case, seems like Tesla will take care of the issue for the customer. And it seems like there was at least one more case like this one earlier. Dylan covered this story on his channel. I'm reading through some of the comments. I found this one. I'm a metallurgist working in the foundry industry for 40 years. Rust specks on stainless steel parts open to the atmosphere are predominantly caused by airborne iron particles from automotive car brakes. Every vehicle suffers from this and is very visible on white vehicles. Now we know that Tesla is using a special custom alloy, and obviously also Tesla is benefiting from SpaceX's expertise. And obviously Tesla is aware of potential risks, and I'm pretty sure that they have taken certain measures to make sure that it's not actually a problem for customers. Ray posted a recall notice that he got from Tesla. And it's embarrassing that NHTSA requires Tesla to send these letters to people, actual physical letters. I think they should only do it if people need to come for actual physical service. This is such a waste. It's especially ridiculous to receive a notice like that after Tesla already deployed an over-the-air software update. So you get this notice from NHTSA that there's an issue, but the issue has already been fixed. I did my first ever Tesla live stream on the other channel. I had a tiny technical glitch where I thought I went live for about 10 minutes. I went through the whole thing, and then I realized even though my software said I was live, I had to click one more button to actually go live. So then I did everything again. I think everything went fairly smoothly, technically speaking, once I was actually live. So I'm going to do another one tomorrow and on Friday, and next week probably as well. Multiple live streams. I'll just see how it goes. If you don't want to miss those, then make sure to click on the link below to subscribe to this other channel, to the Clips channel, which is where I'm going to be putting these live streams on. I will probably change the thumbnail color a little bit, and the words recorded live, I should probably change those to red just to make it more obvious that it was recorded live. So if you guys ever see this pop up in your YouTube feed, it's not difficult to tell whether it was a live stream, because the live stream obviously is not going to be polished and it's going to have and us and pauses and screen switches. But if you do want to see the biggest Tesla news stories earlier, then make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss these live streams. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Liking the video really helps with the YouTube algorithm, so I really appreciate all of you guys who like every single video, because that helps a lot. So thank you so much for that, and I will see you in tomorrow's episode.